This lesson is dividing decimals by whole numbers. When we do any division, we need to go through our 5 steps of division. So let's do a little review before we start. Step number 1 is estimate. That's where you think, what number will it take to make this problem work? Then we multiply that number, then we subtract, we compare, and we bring down. Let's do a little problem here and see how that works. Let's start with 6.72 divided by 4. Now, because this is a decimal problem, there's only one thing that we do differently, and that is we bring our decimal straight up from our divisor into our quotient. And you can do that first thing, and then you can forget about that it's there. It's kind of messy, but there it is. So now, step number 1, and I write the numbers down, and if it's helpful to you to write them down as you work them out, then please do that. If you don't need to, then you don't have to, but I'm going to so that you can see how it works. So we start off with estimating. We have one digit in our divisor. That means we're only going to be dividing one digit in our dividend. So we start with 6 divided by 4. That is 1. We're going to multiply. 1 times 4 is 4. We're going to subtract. 6 minus 4 is 2. And we're going to compare. The number that we get when we subtract must always be smaller than the number in our dividend. And 2 is smaller than 4. So now we can go to step number 5 and we bring down the next number. That's a 7. 27 divided by 4. We do our estimating again. And we think, what times 4 will get me close to 27, but not bigger than 27? If you know your 4 times tables, you would think 4 times 6, that's 24. That's pretty close, but let's try another one. 7 times 4 is 28. Nope, that's too big. So back down to your 6. Write a 6 above the 7 in your quotient, and now we multiply. 6 times 4 is 24. Subtract. 27 minus 24 is 3. Compare. 3 is smaller than the divisor, which is 4, so we can proceed to bringing down. We'll bring down the 2. Always try and keep your numbers in a straight line. Go back to step number 1 again, and we estimate. 32 divided by 4. Hopefully you know that one. That's 8. To multiply, 8 times 4 is 32. We're going to subtract. 32 minus 32 is 0. We're going to compare. 0 is, of course, smaller than 4. We're going to look if there's anything else to bring down. There's not. And so we're done. We've already put our decimal in our divisor, and so we're finished. Our answer is 1 68/100. Now we're going to do a few more practice problems. Let's take a look at our problem. This time we have a little bit longer problem. It says 63.96 divided by 26. The first thing I like to do, of course, is put my decimal in my quotient. Put it there. Make it a nice big dot so you don't miss it. Now we're going to start with estimating again. This problem is a little bit bigger, so we're going to have to go about our estimating a little bit differently. If I were at school and I had a pencil and paper, I would simply cover up some numbers, and I'm going to show you what to do. But first we need to think. I've got 2 numbers in my divisor, so I'm going to be dividing by the first 2 numbers in my dividend. Now here's where I would cover up the 6 with a pencil, and I would cover up the 3 with a pencil or my finger, and I would say, what is 6 divided by 2? Well, that's about 3. So let's give it a try and see what happens. We say 6 times 3. Now I'm going to uncover these numbers so you can see them. I write it back down again. 3 times 6 is 18. 3, 1. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7. Well, that's too big. When we estimated, we didn't account for the fact that the 6 and 26 would make it a little bit bigger. So that's easy. All we need to do is erase and start again. So we know that 3 did not work, so now we try a 2. And we'll to our multiplication step. 2 times 6 is 12. 1 there. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. All right, that looks like that's a little bit better. We'll subtract. 3 minus 2 is 1. And 6 minus 5 is 1. Now let's compare. 11 is smaller than 26, so we're good. We're going to bring down our next number. We now have 119. Now we need to estimate again. Back to step number 1, estimate. And I would again at school cover up my 6, cover up my 9, and I would think 11 divided by 2. What would that be? Well, that would be about a 5. But if I multiply that 6 by a 5, I'm going to end up with too much to carry. So I'm going to back down 1 and I'm going to make this a 4. And let's just see if that works. Let's multiply. Uncover my 6 again so I can see it. 4 times 6 is 24. Carry a 2. 4 times 2 is 8 plus 2 is 10. Now we're going to subtract. 9 minus 4 is 5. 1 minus 0 is 1. 1 minus 1 is nothing. I don't need to bring that down. We're going to compare. 15 is smaller than 26, so we're on the right track. And now we're going to bring down our 6. And now we start the estimating step again. Again, I would cross out my 6 or cover it up, cross out my 6, just pretend it's not there, and we estimate. 15 divided by 2. Well, that would be about 7. But when we multiply 7 times 6, we're going to have a whole lot to carry there again. So we're going to back up 1 and we're going to say 6. Let's put a 6 there. And let's do our multiplying and see what happens. I'm going to uncover my 6. My 6 here. Let me write that back down again so we can see it. 6 times 6 is 36. I'm going to cross those out so I don't get confused. I'm going to have a little 3 that I carry so I remember to add it in. 6 times 2 is 12 plus 3 is 15. That comes out to a 0. So we subtracted and now we're comparing. It's definitely smaller. Is there anything left to bring down? Nope. And so our problem is done. We've already put our decimal in the quotient, so our answer is 2 46/100. Let's do another practice problem. This problem says 329 3/10 divided by 37. First thing we're going to do, of course, is estimate. Get our E. Now usually we would say we have 2 digits in our divisor, we'll divide 2 digits in the dividend, but as you can see the divisor is larger than the 32 in the dividend, so we'll need to make that 329 divided by 37. And this is where estimating gets very important because you could sit there for a long time and wonder, where do I even start? So as I said before, what I would do in school is I would take a pencil or a finger and I would cross out, just cover up the last digit in the 2 numbers that I'm dividing. That gives me 32 divided by 3. That's a little bit easier to think about. But because we have a 7 in our divisor, 37, that's very much closer to a 4 than a 3 when we do our multiplying. We'll have bigger numbers to carry. So I'm going to put a 4 up here just for a minute for us to think about. We're not going to do anything with it. It's just to think. Instead of saying 32 divided by 3, what I'm going to do is say 32 divided by 4. That would be 8. Now I'm going to uncover the 9 and the 7. I'm going to get rid of my 4. And now we're going to actually do the multiplying. Decided it was close to an 8, so let's start there. Oh, and I forgot one thing. First thing always, please put your decimal there. If you forget it, it's okay. You can put it there later like I just did, or even at the end. But always put your decimal in your divisor. In your quotient. So now let's multiply. That's step number 2. 8 times 7 is 56. I'm going to carry my 5 over here so I don't forget it. 8 times 3 is 24, plus 5 is 29. I'm going to subtract. 9 minus 6 is 3. 2 minus 9, can't do that, so I'm going to borrow from the 3, make that a 2, make the 2 into a 12. 12 minus 9 is 3. 2 minus 2 is nothing. I don't need to do any more with that, but I do need to compare now. 33 is smaller than 37. So now I'm going to bring down my 3. Now I have 330 333 divided by 37, and we need to start our estimating again. I'm going to do the same thing we did before. I'm going to get rid of my 5 that I carried, and I'm going to cover up the 7 and cover up this 3. I'm going to think 33 divided by 3, but not 3, remember, because we have 37, that makes it closer to a 4. So 33 divided by 4. If we thought carefully, we would make that into a 9, because 32 isn't going to be quite large enough. Let's try a 9 and see what happens. Now I'm going to get rid of my 4 because we're not going to do anything with it. I'm going to uncover my 7 and uncover my 3 as much as I can. Put the 3 back in there. And let's multiply. 9 times 7 is 63. My 3. 9 times 3 is 27. Plus 6 is 33. Subtract. 0. I compare. It is smaller. There's nothing left to bring down. And so my answer is 8 9/10. Now, if you'd forgotten to put your decimal in before, now would be the time. Always remember, move it straight up from the dividend into the quotient. Let's do one more practice problem. We have 623 2/10 divided by 41. All right, first things first, we estimate. I have 2 numbers in my divisor, 2 numbers in my dividend, and I'm going to put my decimal in my quotient. Now, 62 divided by 41. 62 is not even 2 times 41. That'd be in the 80s, so we're going to start off with a 1. Straight above the 2 in 62, and let's multiply. Times 1 is 1. 1 times 4 is 4. Subtract. 2 minus 1 is 1. 6 minus 4 is 2. Compare. 21 is smaller than 41, so we will bring down our 3. We now have 213 divided by 41, as I did before. What I would do is cover up my 1 and cover up my 3 and say, what is 21 divided by 4? Well, that's going to be very close to 5. I'm going to put a 5 up here, but then I'm going to uncover my 1 so I don't forget about it. I think we can read through that line on the 3, and let's multiply. Our estimating step now, we're going to multiply. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 4 is 20. 3 minus, now we're going to subtract. 3 minus 5, can't do that. I'm going to have to borrow from the 1, make it a 0. 13 minus 5 is 8. Nothing left to subtract. We're going to compare. 8 compared to 41, 8 is smaller, so we're good. Now we're going to bring down the 2. And we have 82. I think you can see that 41 times 2 will be 82, so let's put a 2 up in our quotient and let's multiply. That was our estimating, and now we're multiplying. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 4 is 8. Let's subtract. 82 minus 82 is 0. Compare. 0 is smaller than 41. There is nothing left to bring down, and our answer is 15 2/10. Remember, when you divide with a decimal in the dividend, all you need to do is move the decimal up, straight up into the quotient. Make sure you keep your numbers straight in their columns, and you'll be good at dividing decimals by whole numbers. That's the end of this lesson.